Welcome to The Owner's Exit, the podcast where business owners learn to plan smarter, exit stronger, and move forward with confidence. In each episode, you'll hear from industry experts, seasoned entrepreneurs, and owners who've successfully navigated their exit. Together, we'll unpack the real stories and proven strategies beyond smooth, successful transitions, and share practical advice for your own exit planning journey. So if you're a founder, entrepreneur, or business owner thinking about what's next, you're in the right place. This is the Owner's Exit Podcast, where we help owners see to, through, and beyond the sale of their business. Dr. Josh Hood, thank you so much. Yeah, we're excited to get your perspective. I think you bring a unique insight into an owner's exit, building a business, enterprise value, all of that. So we're real excited to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate the invite.
So got a little intro here. So Dr. Josh Hood, Athens, Alabama, that's your location. You went to school at Hatton High School, graduate. You studied chemical engineering, University of Alabama. You've got your doctoral you are a doctor of dental medicine at UAB Dentistry, UAB School of Dentistry. And so what we're really excited to talk about is to unpack your journey from becoming graduating, becoming a dentist, becoming a part of a practice, becoming an equity partner, helping build that to multi-location, and then selling to private equity. So we're excited to talk about your journey, and thanks again. Yeah, for coming, joining us. So
I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah. And we should mention good friend of our colleague, Kane Yarborough.
That's right. Childhood friend.
Which we've already apologized for. So that's great.
And we also might need to say he's a pretty big Alabama fan too. We won't hold that against him, but I'm sure some of that's going to come out.
That's why he's sitting over there and we're sitting right here.
Yeah.
So Josh, first question for you. Talk to us a little bit about your journey from, why you even wanted to study dental medicine, and then your journey from graduating to joining the practice that you initially.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to be a dentist, in high school, I just kind of had an interest in healthcare, hated hospitals, knew I did not want to do anything that involved a hospital. Kind of researched a little bit. My parents kind of encouraged me to look into dentistry. Went and shadowed a dentist in town. Seemed like a good fit. I will say that I had no idea what it actually entailed until I got into dental school. It's one of those things that you can go in the office and kind of see, but you don't really know what's going on.
Sure.
So that kind of got me driven to that. I was really good at math, so I thought, I'll go to engineering. So chemical engineering was kind of the closest thing that I could do to get the requirements that I needed to go to dental school. So I did that. Then fourth year, decided, I want to try to go to dental school. So I did a little bit more shadowing and took the test and sent everything in, got accepted. So started dental school, fast forward 4 years, and got out, and then started trying to find a place to practice. So kind of the plan was to go back to my hometown after I worked somewhere.
Which is where?
Say Moulton, Alabama. So close to Hatton, where I went to school at.
Yeah, okay.
That would be the closest town that would have a dental office.
Sure.
So we went to, started trying to find somewhere just to go for a while to work.
As like an associate.
As an associate, just kind of get comfortable, see how a dental office works.
Cut your teeth. Learn a little bit.
Get speed up.
Also,
you come out of dental school, you kind of just know the.
Cut your teeth. You didn't pick that up.
I didn't pick that up. Nice little pun there. Yeah. It was dental school is kind of the minimum I'd say that you need to be a dentist. So you kind of need to be able to get your speed up, work around some more dentists. So back then, the way to find a job was to hop in a car with a dental rep and ride around their territory and they would introduce you to people. So did that a few times and met the group that I ended up partnering with, and had several locations, multiple dentists in the practice. It was going to give me a good opportunity to be close to where I wanted to be at home, and but also learn from different people and see different styles of practice. So I did that, and it ended up being a great opportunity for me, and I felt comfortable there. So ended up sticking around for a long time.
What was unique about this practice that made you interested in becoming a partner and say, you know, I want to be tied to this business for the long term?
Well, it was mainly one, I like the partners. I like the guys that I was working with, and then it was, you get in a place and you start doing dentistry. You build a relationship with the patients. You build a relationship with the staffs. You get comfortable. You're making money. You've got a steady income coming in versus going down the road and doing your own thing and taking on a lot of debt. So it's kind of just, it was the known thing, and it felt comfortable, and I liked all the people. So
yeah. Did you think at all about going back to your hometown and starting something after you spent a couple of years as an associate?
That was the original plan, and I did think about it as I went through the process, because the way I became a partner was a slow and steady buy-in, and it really wasn't as fast as I wanted it to be. So I did a few times think about leaving and going and doing that. I'm thankful I didn't, but yes, that was a plan several times throughout the 10 years.
Did the partners come to you and say, like, hey, Josh, we want you to buy into this practice? How did that conversation even start?
To a certain extent, it did. They had always, one of the partners who was kind of the main one that handled that aspect, he would always say that yes, I want you to be a partner. He'd always refer to me as partner, which he kind of calls everybody partner. But he expressed that, and then you kind of just have to get down to when is it financially the right time to do it. So, when's the cash flow going to be available? When's the debt good, and when's the cash flow going to be sustainable? He was very good about making sure that he didn't want me to do anything that would not cash flow. Mm-hmm. So, he's like, I don't want you to, be spending more money than you're making on something. So, yeah. And I kind of took that guidance and waited a little bit longer than I probably would have, and took his advice, and it ended up working out well.
Yeah, that's good. So your role at the practice, when you transition from associate to partner, what responsibilities did you then take on that you didn't have before?
So before, as an associate, it's really nice, because you show up at 8 o'clock, you do dentistry until 5, and you go home and you don't worry about anything.
Clock in, clock out.
Yes.
Focus on just
the dentistry, which is good for the first few years.
That's what you need to do
to make sure your clinical skills are good, get faster. Then I started taking on a lot of the administrative stuff and ownership stuff, even as an associate in our practice. So I was trying to learn and handle some of that stuff.
Like managing P&L, or
I was looking at all the financials. I was talking to all the management team.
Okay.
Yes, I was
trying to influence the numbers in one way or the
very
other.
involved in. I was probably making decisions that I really shouldn't have been making.
Yeah.
But
with
yes,
your strong math background, that makes a lot of sense that you'd be interested and want to dive in there.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot that was way above just being an associate. So I bought into 2 practices first. So the one I was working in, and the one that was closest that I worked in sometimes.
And how many locations did you have at that point in time?
At that time, we probably had 7.
Okay.
Yeah. So we probably had 7, bought into those 2. And then at that point, I started getting very involved in the entire operation, even the ones that I did not have any ownership in. And then we started adding practices. So we did a few acquisitions, and we got up to 12 at one time. So we had 12 practices at one time.
Were you involved in the business development side, like finding, vetting, making sure that that's what you
Yes, there were three. There were three partners there were five original partners, including me, and three of them, including me, were very involved in all the
expansion,
all that stuff, all expansion, all the doctor recruiting, all the financial stuff. So,
and when you went in and purchased and acquired these practices, did the dentists that were owning those practices, did they continue to stay on, or did you have to find new associates, new dentists to fill those roles?
Both. So some of them, we had the dentist that was already there staying, and they just, for whatever reason, didn't want to own anymore. And we acquired them, and they stayed on. And I know at least one circumstance that dentist ended up buying the practice back, and at some point. And then we had several that, retiring doctors wanting to sell their practices, and we would only buy those if we could find a doctor to go in as an associate to work there. Mm-hmm. So that's the key piece in most of this, is having a good, solid doctor in your practices.
Team.
But you've got to have a doctor. I mean, and doctor recruiting it's never ending, and it's something that we focused on every day. So throughout the entire, and we still do. So still trying to recruit doctors for our practices, even as not an owner anymore.
Yeah. We talk a lot about reducing what we call as owner centricity. So if you think about, you manage a construction business or a manufacturing warehouse, if you, the owner, can bring in some sort of general manager to take a lot of that load off, then you're able to step out. And when you sell the business, it can continue to operate really well. As a dentist, right? Like, you're the person seeing the patients, right?
Yes.
And so that becomes a lot more challenging. And I think speaks to what you're saying about the dentist as the integral part,
right,
of selling or acquiring a practice.
Yes. You've got to have that steady doctor in there. And it's great if the person that's there will stay and keep working. Mm-hmm. And that's, if you're transitioning out, like even in our case, when we transition out, I mean, we have to stay, it's contractually in there that we have to stay for 5 years. So,
yeah. So you mentioned you guys had 12 locations. You talked about a couple of challenges, but what are some of the other challenges? I know keeping a staff, finding the doctors. What are having 12 locations spread across a geographic area when you're also having to serve at some of the multiple locations? What are some of the other challenges and probably rewards of being able to scale to 12?
We probably scaled too fast, and we probably also expanded our area too much. So we had several practices that were 2.5 hour drives from where we were at. That was not a good idea. If we could have kept everything in like an hour radius, we would have probably have been in a lot better shape. We got to the point where you have to remember, we're practicing dentistry still full time. So we needed either like a CEO, COO, or one of us needed to step away and do that role. Got to the point where I felt like we were just hanging on. So we probably were letting every practice struggle a little bit trying to run 12. Yeah. So what we ended up doing was we transitioned out of the ones further away. So, and that was a one by one. The doctor here wants to buy this practice back. The doctor here that's an associate would like to buy this practice. We sold one to an equity group. They wanted one of the ones because they had another one in the town, and they merged it into that. So that was that was a mistake on our part. We expanded too fast and too large of an area.
Spread yourself too thin.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And once we got back to a smaller group, we were able to do better, increase revenue.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Keep EBITDA good. So that was it was better once we got smaller.
Yeah. Having 5 partners and having 12 locations at the group's largest. Talk about the partner relationships and how you kind of divvied up leadership, across that many practices.
We probably had a weird group. We had 5 partners. Me and another guy were younger, and we were doing most of the managing.
Yeah.
2 older partners that were kind kind of on their way out. I mean, they'd built the practices and they were the original two, and I mean, had done a great job and had put in their time, but they had kind of stepped away from the dentistry and also the ownership, whatever you want, responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And then we had a partner that didn't like to do much of the managerial stuff, but great doctor and wanted to practice 5-10 more years. So we kind of fell on like three of us to do most of it. Now, any big decisions, we would all we'd meet every 2 weeks after hours, and we'd make all those decisions as a group still. But the day-to-day operations and just talking to the accountant, to the lawyer, we had a team of area managers of in-house accounting, in-house payroll. The communications, all that was pretty much just me and the other younger guy, and then one more partner to a lesser extent.
Mm-hmm.
What having all 5 partners, you obviously have to have systems, and managing multiple locations. What role did the systems, a culture, technology, what role did all of that play in your ability to scale? I know you got a little bit far outside your skis, but once you came back in, how did you incorporate that?
Right. We tried to get a hierarchy, kind of like the last question, but you have me and the other partner that's doing most of the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Under that is area manager.
Yep.
So they had 3 to 4 practices. And under that, office manager. And then you also had out to the side the in-house payroll, in-house accounting, and all that. So we had we tried to put a good hierarchy in place as far as just running the offices and who was managing and who would handle each thing. But then having good systems as far as like, the front desk has the responsibility of keeping the schedules full, making sure insurance is verified. So we went back and revamped like good job descriptions. We had good free time. Like if you're in your free time, here's a list of things that you need to be doing. Mm-hmm. You need to clean this. You need to be on the phone calling patients in the software for who needs a cleaning, who needs a crown. Look at our schedule, see what we need right now. Use your free time to fill that. So we did a really good job of being able to put a few things like that in place in writing, and the staff knew their expectations. They had bonus systems to incentivize them for completing these goals, and that really helped us get back to where we needed. The other thing that we did was me and the partner that did most of the managing, we went to our suppliers and we tried to, we decreased our vendors. So we started buying the majority of our supplies from, just a few vendors here and there. That really helped get our costs down, get everything where we could see everything better and manage our budgets. Mm-hmm. And that was a big deal too. And we also focused a lot on recruiting associate doctors. And once we were able to get smaller, we were able to recruit associate doctors, put them in the places we wanted to. We had a really good group there before we partnered with the next group. So
yeah. I love what you said about kind of condensing your suppliers. We're big fans of simplification.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? As simple as you can make things, not only does sometimes it improve the cost, but also for you as a manager, you're spread so thin. You're trying to see patients. You're trying to manage the staff, run a business. Having less variables in the room is very, very important.
Well, even when the invoices go from a big stack of different things just to a smaller stack, it just saves time for everybody. So.
Yeah. All right. So I want to make a big pivot here to the transition for you guys, because I know you sold the practice, and but before we kind of get into the story of how that all came about, I want to talk a little bit about prepping a practice for sale. Because whether it's a dental practice or a medical practice or just a business in general, I'd love for you to share a few things about what you think is most important for a business as they prep to go to market for sale.
Okay. So on our end, we did not realize we were prepping for sale because we were not selling.
Yeah.
It kind of fell in our lap. But a lot of things that we did were the same things that you would do if you were prepping for sale. So the recruiting the good associates, the vendors, getting your supply costs down, getting all that streamlined, that's very important. The other two things that you really need to focus on are year-over-year revenue growth. Mm-hmm. That is one thing that they harp on. So if you can show a year-over-year revenue growth and then just a steady EBITDA, mm-hmm. So, just whatever percentage it needs to be, depending on the business, it's steady EBITDA and controlling supply cost or any cost and year-over-year revenue growth. That would be the things that you need to focus on. Of course, if you're in a medical field like we are, obviously having steady doctors would also be important. But
sure,
that's the most important things.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
As far as prepping, prepping you talked about prepping like the financials and prepping that. So what about the people? Like, when did you guys decide? I know it kind of fell in your lap, but like, you didn't really realize you were prepping. But how did that come about? Were you approached or? Like,
as far as the sale?
Yeah. So how did you get from the partnership to, we could probably sell?
Yes. So we had 5 partners.
Yep.
2 checked out. So they don't want to practice dentistry anymore. They're ready to be done. So we need an exit strategy for those 2. So that was what started this conversation. How are we going to exit those 2 partners? There was no easy way to do it because it was pretty large. Debt was going to be an issue for anybody that tried to do it. Historically, associates had stepped in and took that role. We had spoken to associates about the role. The problem now is that anybody that's came out of dental school, I mean, especially with a family, huge amount of debt from school. If you have a house, car payments, it's a massive amount of debt for an associate. So,
and what time frame was this that you guys were having these discussions?
This was mid 22.
Okay. Yeah. And so at this point, for context, interest rates had started to climb again, right?
We're close.
Yeah.
We're not at that yet, but we're getting close to that.
Sure.
So, we kind of knew that was coming though.
Mm-hmm.
So the other possibility is, the other 3 partners take on that. So one partner's kind of towards the end. He probably wouldn't be interested. So now it's down to me and the other guy. It's probably too much for us to bite off at this point. So
2 people buying 3, 2.5 out.
It's kind of, it's getting to be a lot.
Yeah. The valuations were pretty high at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, if it would have been us, it would have been a little different, you know, probably.
But you guys had done a lot of work before that, again, like you said, to optimize the business.
Yes.
And it made it more valuable, right?
Yes. And I'm still young at this point. So, my debt load is still crazy.
Sure.
So so there's not a good answer. Well, one of the older partners is like, well, let's approach the group that bought one of our other practices that was kind of far away. And I never thought that it would be possible. And within a week, we had got them some financials and we had some interest, and they made an offer and we kind of discussed it and counter offer, and it ended up, we all sat down in a room together with 5 of us, and we're like, well, this got to work for everybody. So 2 partners, they have to be able to exit. One partner needs to be able to have a good job for the next 5-10 years. And then me and the other younger guy were like, it really has to be more like a partnership again for us. Mm-hmm. So we have to be comfortable with being able to work with this group for the next, hopefully our entire career, but definitely a decade. So that's really what it came down to us. So it was different for everybody, but it kind of just fell in our lap more than less. Huh. And
did you all think about going and sourcing multiple offers, or were you just so comfortable with that one that they came to the table with that you moved on it?
Well, we did not source multiple offers. We went with that one. And the reason being is because we knew some more doctors that had partnered with them from the Birmingham area. And we knew kind of how the operation worked because they were like 2 years before us. So for me and the other younger partner, that was really the most important thing, was being able to, one, get our financial situation, debt and everything taken care of, and make sure that we're not doing anything that's going to financially harm us, but also feel comfortable going forward. The group we're with is really good about giving us like clinical autonomy and letting us do what we want to do and be involved some in the management of the offices. So that was what was great about this group. So it was just the right fit for us, we felt like.
It's huge. I've talked to a couple of doctors just in different specialties who have been approached by a private equity group to acquire their practice. Private equity groups, their goal, by the way, is just to roll up a bunch of practices that are successful, bundle them for a higher multiple at some point in time, and exit most likely if they have a timeline for their investors. And a lot of times what we'll see is doctors who take on that private equity money, all of a sudden they lose the autonomy that they had when they were owning the business.
Right.
They have a boss, right, who's telling them, hey, we need to see X amount of patients per hour. We're going to cut your staff because that's going to help our margin. We're going to do things basically opposite of what you did before because it fits in with the rest of what we're doing, and the doctor's unhappy, right? And so for you guys, having examples of other doctors who had sold, where you can point to and say, no, we're pretty sure that the experience is going to be good on the other side, would be a key factor along with the monetary amount.
That was really the most important thing for me and the other younger under partner. We really wanted to be, especially clinical autonomy. There's some groups that will, I won't say quotas, but have quotas pretty much. So that's not, this group is very clinically driven. So that was what we wanted.
That's good. As far as like let's go back to that room where you guys were making the decision. Do we want to do this? Do we not? Once you guys made the decision, what was the additional prep, or what needed to change to kind of clean house a little bit before the sale?
There really wasn't a lot of prep. Now the process of gathering all the information that they wanted, it took 5 months, 6 months
just to get the information to make decisions.
Well, to get it to the finish line.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was handling most of those conversations, and I was on the phone with lawyers and accountants and the management team, equity groups. It was nonstop.
What surprised you about all that?
That it took 5 months and that it was so involved. So the due diligence on their end was insane. Like
greater than your end from a time perspective.
Yeah, because I called a few doctors and were like, "Hey,
sounds
like
good.
It. Yeah,
sure.
They do a good job. Yeah, everything seems to be fine. They let me practice how I want to practice." And I mean, after you talk to 3 people that say the same thing, that's kind of really all you can do.
Yeah. But on the flip side, you were working for them for a minute.
Yes, gathering and our management staff was doing a lot of it, gathering the information, obviously. But the phone conversations were us and going through everything. But their due diligence was above and beyond, which also made me feel good because now we're partnering with this group. So we're not just. It's not like we're just walking away. So we're going to be a partner. We have some equity. So we need to. Made me feel good that they were doing their due diligence and that they had probably done this on every other transaction that they had done. So,
was there any real estate involved in the transaction?
No, that was they didn't buy any real estate. We've got the real estate. So, we've thought about doing transaction on that, but that would be, I don't think the people that buy the the dental practices buy the real estate. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So we usually ask this question at the end, but I think now's a good time on the actual exiting process for somebody, whether they're doctor, it's a practice owner, or just a business owner that's walking through that exit timeline, 6 months, 9 months, where you're engaging with a buyer or sourcing a buyer. What is one or two like big pieces of advice that you could give that person now that you're on the other side of a transaction?
Well, it just really depends on what you're looking for. So if you're in a medical thing, I would just make sure that I did my due diligence on talking to somebody that was in your shoes 2 years ago. Talk to them, see how they did that process, and see how it's been since then with whatever group. This is not a situation where you'd want to go with like the highest bidder. You definitely want to talk to the doctors that have been in your shoes and make sure that everything they say that they're promising you is going to be fulfilled.
And that's whether you're going to stay on or if you're exiting entirely, correct?
Right. And in the medical field, I don't know that a exit entirely is possible unless you have already stepped away.
Yeah,
so like
right.
our two partners that exited, they had stepped away already.
Yeah.
So we had already replaced them.
Right.
So they were replaced and we're not working. So like with me working every day, I have to do what I'm doing currently. So
Right.
there's no option for me to just walk away. So,
Yeah.
and I think that would be pretty much what you would get with any medical field. So if you really need to make sure that you plan your exit very far in advance. So you need to be planning probably 5 to 10 years before you really want to step away. Make sure that you're still don't slow down. Keep the revenue up. You see all the time where these doctors, they start slowing down, they start decreasing days. Well, all that's doing is it's just making your practice
Less valuable.
worth less and
Yeah.
probably maybe worth nothing.
Yeah.
If you plan it out and then I would try to exit or sell the practice probably 5 years before I plan to be done. So that would be the key.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you sell, you really need to be willing to do 5 more years at what you're currently doing.
Give you a healthy off ramp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
definitely. I mean, now you're going to give up control doing that.
Right.
And
But
Stuff's
you're
gonna
giving up
change.
control, but you're also giving up some responsibility too. So your off ramp can be a
Yes.
gradual slow down because you can't keep up the pace as you age.
not forever. No.
Nor do you have interest sometimes
Right.
to keep up that pace. Yeah. That's good.
Talk to me a little bit about how you relayed the news of a transition to your staff and then also to patients.
Well, I'll start with the patient part.
Okay.
So the patient part's really no different.
Right.
So the practices are not different. Nothing's different.
Name's still the same on the building.
Name's still the same. We're still there. We're still working. So really, as far as the patient aspect, there's no difference.
Especially since you guys have the autonomy to kind of manage the practices how you were
yeah.
anyways.
I mean, there's no difference in our office as for the patient experience than it was before. So that's the same. And I mean, I'm sure most of them don't even know we even did anything.
Right.
Until now.
Yeah.
The staff, we did not want to scare anybody that something was changing. So the management team's really all that knew about anything going on, and then the staff told them after it was done.
Yeah.
So it was just, hey, we're transitioning to a different ownership, partnering with this group, and some stuff's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Software for one, which everybody hates, but when you're comfortable with something. But other than that, I mean, yeah, we waited till the week after, and then told everybody.
Yeah.
Got everybody in a big room, had a little lunch, and said we're transitioning over to a new ownership group. And the biggest thing was like the two older partners that had been there for a long time. being they were already kind of done, but like finally, like really done.
Close the door.
That was the bigger.
More like a celebration.
Yeah, that was the bigger thing than anything on the whole thing. Because the rest of us were there. I mean, it's kind of the same for the rest of us.
Well, and I think about for you guys, the decision to move with the private equity group, who not only have you seen how they've interacted with the practice post sale when you sold that one-off practice years back,
Right.
but also talking to other doctors who have had an ongoing experience with them. You could sit there and look your staff in the face and say, like, yeah, some things are going to change, but we probably could have gotten more in the open market. I probably didn't say this, but probably could have gotten more in the open market, maybe. But we know this buyer is going to treat the business well. It's a big reason why we chose them.
Right. Yes, that was definitely the case. And when we had them there, and they're kind of talking and telling everybody, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm going to be the new, kind of over the state. I'll be in your offices. I'm the CEO. I'm the COO." That was the introductions, but they really don't have a lot of interaction with those people. It's still really our core group that does most of the day-to-day operations.
So post sale, what has been different within the office having a CEO, COO to work with? What changes have you noticed? Good or bad? You can explain. Yeah.
Well, change the software.
Yeah, software.
So all software is different.
Yeah.
So all computer systems are different. They just want everything on the same platform.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Has to happen.
We talked about vendors,
Right.
consolidating, simplifying.
The ordering consolidated, a little bit different than what we were doing, but still very similar, just different platform. You have our area manager has somebody over her now, but the offices themselves never really see the COO, the CEO.
Yeah.
But we do have a support center. It's in Michigan is where ours is, because we're multi-state. So, there's rev cycle people, there's insurance people. So there's a whole support team now in a centralized location, HR team, stuff that we really didn't have. So sometimes helps, sometimes hurts, but it's nice to have somebody to go to be able to handle it. There's a room full of people now doing this job that maybe somebody in the office was doing part-time,
Sure.
So how does,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how has that changed your role?
My role,
You were leading a business, but also operating. So what's changed for you?
the main thing that's changed for me is just it's freed up a lot of time. So I'm not constantly on the phone all day. My free time after hours is much better. It was very common for my phone to start ringing at 6 o'clock in the morning for, something that was going to hinder a day somewhere. I don't get those calls anymore. I'm not checking my text messages and answering my phone between every patient anymore, which I was. So it's allowed me to really kind of focus more on our office and then my clinical skills too. I'm probably doing a little more clinically too, just because I got more free time during the day. So
yeah. Okay, so next thing I want to ask is for a doctor or a business owner who wants to stay on when a new group comes in and buys a practice or a business, what are a couple key things that you feel that they should get answers to from that buying group?
So for a medical provider, a dentist, I would definitely say clinical autonomy is the most important thing. And then after that, we focused a lot on support for us and our staff, especially staff. We wanted to make sure that they were going to be supported in the way that they currently was. There wasn't going to be a lot of cuts. The pay, benefits, everything was going to be pretty stable. For us too, I mean, obviously want to make sure that going to be compensated for what we're doing, and hopefully even in a better situation than what we were in. Then the other would be probably just financially how stable that company is and what their past history has been, but also what's their plan in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So more than likely in a situation like this, there's going to be some kind of transition in the future. So what's that going to look like? Is I'm comfortable now with that team, with that CEO, COO. If they have a transition next year to a different equity group, are they going to be there? So, and is the model for that business going to stay the same? Which they may not know, but at least we know if the plan is for that to happen.
Well, like you guys, you weren't planning on selling, and then an opportunity popped up. You're like, let's jump on it. And so you can never know with 100% certainty what the next 5 or 10 years is going to look like for a third party who's buying. But the more you can reduce that risk of turnover, or at least have a good idea of it, the better off you and your staff are going to be. Yeah,
because who you're working for now, but new boss may be in there next year.
Sure.
So and then is the whole company going to be a different mentality?
Mm-hmm.
And that was scary for me because I felt like I had a good partnership, which was the most important thing for me, clinical wise and equity wise. And was that going to change? So felt pretty good about the model. Seemed to be performing well. So if somebody did come in, the model would probably still exist because it was good. So.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit, what advice would you give younger dentists that are either looking to get into owning their own practice or becoming a partner, and with an exit in mind? What advice would you give? I know there's debt considerations. You talked about that,
right.
Because I know your dental school wasn't cheap. And so
it's a lot more expensive now than it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
What advice would you give someone considering either owning or partnering?
Well, the debt has to be the main driver of the whole thing and cash flow. But anything that they can, I'll even go back before, being a dentist, but it's in dental school, like try to control that debt to the best of your ability. Like if you've got a cheaper option for dental school, take it. Like if you can go in state instead of going out of state, I would try to control that debt as much as possible. It's going to open up a lot of doors in the future for what you.
Well, you even said, sorry to cut you off, but you even said dental school is the bare minimum of skill you need to be a dentist. So as cheap as you can go get that.
Yeah, you want to make sure you go to a good dental school, obviously, but like just try to control that amount.
I don't know. I've seen some good YouTube videos, and I may be a dentist now.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Yeah. I could train you. Yes,
yeah.
But yes, I would try to control my debt as much as possible. Then after that, if you want to be an associate forever, that's fine. I know lots of people that have even transitioned from ownership to associate just because they didn't want to deal with what we're doing. Kind of like what I did. In reality, make sure that whatever you do has a good cash flow ability. You're going to be the last person that gets paid. So make sure that no matter what you do, to the best of your ability, there's some cash flow projected there. And you've got to have a good cash reserve set up to be able to do anything like that. But that's really the main things. Is ownership worth it? Yes. Not just financially, but also it's fulfilling to own a business and be able to run it well. And it's going to take a lot of your time, though. It's going to take, it's going to consume more than you think it will. So, and if you don't go the ownership route, maybe you can do some kind of other business on the side. I know a lot of associates that invest in like real estate and stuff, and that's business wise, and I did a little bit of that, and that was nice and fulfilling. So that maintaining your debt, good cash flow, and then just knowing that your free time's going to suffer. So.
Yeah. Your exit was a little bit unique. Not that all exits are unique, but just how you all stepped into a private equity offer and spoke to those guys right away and already had a connection. But through that process, what professionals did you use? Did you lean on? Did you interact with that you feel like helped the whole process run a little bit easier?
So we've had a good group that we've kind of relied on for a while, of lawyers and accountants, financial advisors, and they really had to vet the offer and the process too, because like with me, a ton of debt, young, needing to make sure I have a good future. I really needed to make sure that all the financial aspect especially was sound enough that I felt comfortable with doing this. I knew what I had, and it was going to work as long as nothing major happened. But was this offer enough for me to feel comfortable and to get me to a place that I was going to be okay? You really need to have a good financial plan. Mm-hmm. You need somebody that's going to be, like I'm sure y'all can really sit down and do a good financial plan and project everything out to make sure that that's going to be sustainable for you. It'd be a little easier if you were older, but being young and needing to continue to work, it was a little bit scary.
Yeah. No, that's well said.
Yeah. So when it comes to an exit, what are some of the key financial and operational metrics that you're tracking or you're looking for that can help move the needle on the valuation when it comes to that point?
The main thing they look at is controlling cost, just having your cost and not just low, but also steady. They need to be consistent. The other thing is year-over-year growth.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
That's incredibly important. And then just steady profit or EBITDA. That's, whatever your industry is, whatever that number is, you just need to be at a good, average number for that industry, and it be consistent also. I would say consistency is really, the main thing. Consistency and revenue growth.
All right. So one last question for you I have, and then I know Steve has one final one. So much goodness in what you've shared today. I want to kind of sum it up into one question here. If you're sharing advice with somebody who's thinking about a potential exit in the future, what are one or two key points or takeaways that you would want to share with them that they can take home from our time together?
Okay. I think one of the most important things is just having a good team. So internal and external. So make sure that your internal team in your business, your management team and everything is on the same page with you and is running things the way you want, have good systems in place. The other thing is just have a good external team. So have a good team of accountants, lawyers, financial advisors, and really have a good plan for what you want to do in the future. So I know that that's something that really helped us, was having good solid foundation to build off of and a good projection of what the future would look like no matter what circumstance we ended up in.
Yeah,
that's good. So we have one last question. This one's a little fun. So what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
I mean, vanilla, which is terrible.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you're not the first person that said that.
Yeah,
you're not the first person.
But really, homemade vanilla.
Oh,
so we make a lot of homemade ice cream.
Oh, Alabama, I'm sure.
Yeah, a good homemade vanilla.
Yeah, so
and second would be a homemade strawberry.
Ooh,
so we have a good recipe for that. Kane can get you that.
Okay.
He's got it.
So that you must have memories of homemade vanilla. Who in your family are you like, well, if I could go and have
my dad, he does good ice cream.
Yeah. How does it, what kind of machine does he have?
I don't know. It's just it's wood. I know.
It's a wood.
Yeah. But that's the key.
So vanilla, Alabama, homemade
ice cream. Homemade ice cream. Yeah.
That's good.
I'm hungry.
I am too.
Yeah. Kane can hook you up.
Yeah.
He can make it. Yeah. Don't let him hold out on you.
We're going to charge him with that.
That's good. Yeah. Dr. Hood, thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.